So by now you probably know this PowerPoint here by heart. We've talked about all of the capabilities on the left hand side, but the further we push the whole thing to the right, and as I said, our ambition is to do 80% of all last mile activities without the software development kit, you will run into situations where the typical key user tools don't meet all of your requirements. That is, for example, the case if your customer wants extensive additions to an existing business objects that you can't do just with the extension field capabilities that I've shown you. That maybe if the customer wants complex logic behind different fields, or the customer wants to have a completely new business object built into the system, or last but not least, you want to build a microvertical specific variant of a business by design process. In these cases, you need the software development kit for business by design, and let me give you a quick look into how this looks like. Therefore, you start Business by Design Studio. As you can see, it is built based on Microsoft Visual Studio.net. We simply said, let's make it as easy as possible, specifically for our partners, to work in this environment, because many of them have a .NET background and can leverage their skills there. First step, I log on to the repository, because as much as Visual Studio is an on-premise development environment, we turned it into an on-demand development environment. So I've logged on to the system, and here I now have access to either all of the SAP content that I'm not interested in this specific demo, or to the solutions that I built. And just as a little example, let me open one which I built to show how easy it is to have a mobile application in Business by Design. And I quickly want to talk you through how you actually create now such an environment. So let me clean up here a little bit and take those things out which we don't necessarily need here for this example. In a first step, whenever you build an application, you start off with a business object, and you define what this business object is all about. And here I've created one business object MO, and I've done the simplest possible layout. I've said it has here 5 elements: name, surname, telephone, email, and date. And I associate the standard global data types, which you all know also from other programming languages, to Business by Design. So no need to invent new data types. You have access to everything that SAP has built in the last couple of years. Once you're done with this business object, the only thing you have to do is to do a right mouse click and say Create Screen. In this step, the system will create all of the user interfaces that you need for you, but you can also ask the system to do the same thing for you, to create print forms, to create an approval step like we've seen it before, to do a service integration if you want to use internal or external web services. You can create the queries from here that we've talked about. You can create a data source, so a data cube that you want to use for analytical capabilities, and so on and so on. So when you are done with that, it is as simple as then picking, for example, here the quick activity, and say, I want to open this business user interface now in the UI Designer. The UI Designer is still specific to Business by Design. We will there also move over to the standard Microsoft environment, but for the moment we have the SAP standard modeler in this environment. So what the system did now was it reads the definition of the business object, and with that definition it now can come back with a simple user interface. And now it's up to you to change the user interface and to adjust it to the specific requirements that you may have. For example, here that you change the title, or if you want to change here something with that specific field, you can change here the labels. You can use text that are already available in the backend, and so on and so on. So once you're done with that business object, you save and activate the whole thing. And when you're done with that, you can test drive your little application in Business by Design. You log on to the system. The system in the background now generates all and everything. Therefore, if it does it the first time, that takes a little while longer. But then you have your user interface available. You can populate it with data and save the whole thing, attach now the buttons to it. So with just a handful of mouse clicks, you can create now a first sample application. So having this step here is quite nice, but obviously not sufficient. The first thing that you probably want to have is the additional capability that you want more logic in that environment. Therefore, we can use now here a different business object or whatever we want to do, and look here now at the scripts file. Business by Design creates scripts files associated to the business object. So for example, here in this environment, I said, please give me the script file for the standard events, like event before save. So before the system saves, it gives me back the control so that I can check the data. Or what I've defined here is I said I need a script file for an action calculate, because what I want to do in this example, I want to introduce an additional field which says this is the amount of revenue that I'm making with a customer, and I want to do a customer classification now. If you now look at this code, you can read it like plain text. So if it's less than 100,000, it's a C customer. If it's between 100,001 and 200,000, it's a B customer. Otherwise, it's an A customer. So what we've done here is we've adopted a syntax which is very similar to Microsoft Visual Studio.NET and PHP. So we took the look and feel of a state-of-the-art script language so that you can work in an environment which most of you are probably familiar with. Again, once you've done that, save the whole thing, define the button on the user interface, and you're ready to grow your application now by additional interactions, by additional UI capabilities, or then through the print format, whatever you have. If you would like to know a bit more about that environment, you can go to www.sap-press.com. Look for ByDesign Studio. My colleague Thomas Schneider just recently published a book about, 460 pages thick on Business by Design Studio, how you do application development, and he describes in 70 tutorials how you build from something which is a very lightweight business objects to a full-blown commercial application. That much as a first introduction to Business by Design Studio. The important thing, 80% you can do without it, but for the remaining 20%, and if you want to build additional solutions, this is the instrument of choice. That much for this introduction into what we can do with Business by Design and all of the applications which are built on this platform regarding extensibility and flexibility. Thanks a lot for listening. Have a great day.